Here my thinking ended. I sat contemplating the imbecile, the blubberer. He pressed himself upon me with his shameless importunings. He snivelled and his lips moved with my name. I watched them say, Mallare, and repeat, Mallare, till I grew dizzy with the pantomime of my name. I will study this later and discover the secret of his lips, my name drifting continually over them by way of hypnotizing me. But later. I began thinking once more. This lodge brother weeps while Goliath takes liberties with my phantom. There is a connection there, but it is unimportant for the present. I must discover something else. Then, like a victory too long withheld, it came to me. He was mad. Goliath, my servant, was mad. But more than that, a telepathic madness. I have elaborated my understanding since. Goliath suffers from a contagion. His constant attendance upon me had proved fatal to his stupidity. He has entered my world, and my madness creates for him, as it does for me, shadows that deceive him. But there is no Mallare in him. Unlike me, he does not sit amused judgment upon himself. It is an interesting phenomenon, this strange mesmerism. It remains to be studied. Goliath and I are mad brothers. This understanding arrived in time, or else I would have flung myself in despair upon the ever-imploring bosom of my lugubrious sniveller. Reader was real to Goliath. I watched him excitedly and continued to think. I addressed myself. Observe, I said. Here you have a distressing visualization. Goliath, your dwarf, mimics your madness. And it is not pleasant to look at. His eyes roll with passion. His fat lips chew upon lewd expectations. His fingers raise themselves like frightened blasphemies to her breasts. And he watches you. Yes, his eyes sneak glimpses of you. For you are his rival. You and this nigger monster are vaginal comrades. It is pleasant to see that you have the decency to feel enraged. 5 infatuated Mallare sputtered and wept and gnashed their teeth. As I talked, I turned my attention to her. In my excitement over Goliath, I ignored her. Her hands were fumbling with the clothes of this doting rival, but her eyes were on me. They blazed. This pantomime of shadows grows involved, I thought, but I was experimenting with rhetoric. For the thing was absurdly simple. Hate still animated my phantom. And this was her revenge. She was about to give herself to this black dwarf Goliath. She was about to commit sexual harikari. I watched her hands remove his clothes, his red jacket, his fine shirt. He jumped up and down like a distracted child, his own hands bewildered with too many activities. They fondled her, they tugged at his trousers. They became insane and flapped at his sides. She helped him, her eyes still watching me. At last I produced a horror worthy of myself, I thought. The midst dagger was a melodrama to be smiled at. But this, here we have a refinement that reduces death to a minor obscenity. She attacked me now with a weapon worthy of my indifference. It was true, my senses writhed less frighteningly. But I, Mallare, yes, Mallare, the supreme one, honor her assault with a shudder.
Ah, who but Mallare could have invented so subtle a blasphemy, so accomplished an enemy? It is an old theological quibble, but I understand it now. God is the greatest atheist. He is proud of a disbelief in himself. Yes, this phantom is the atheism of Mallare, and it is at last a true child. A parental pride excites me. Like Mallare, her father, she rises above herself. My hatred alive is with the cleverness of its own, speaks to itself. It says, I am the hatred of Mallare. I desire to murder him. I am his phantom, but the suffering and insult he has heaped upon me grows unbearable. His cruelty and coldness have filled me with fury. I would have killed him, but that would have been almost an infidelity, for his senses have been my lovers. I remember them with tears. I decided not to kill him because that would have meant to kill his senses. But this other one, this insufferable and aloof one, this serene one staring amusedly at me back out of his black heaven. How send my hatred against him? I will conspire with his senses. I am no more than an idea in the head of God. But the head of God is but an idea that encircles me. I am a phantom within a phantom. Thus I make myself nauseous. I must make myself too hideous. I must make myself so monstrous that the idea which contains me will feel an anguish. And this anguish will be the applause to my hate. I sat shrewdly silent, for the moment was approaching. At last I perceived myself behind the logic of this Frankenstein. For it was I, Mallare, that was attacking myself with this hatred. It was Mallare who was arranging this little plot for himself. And why? Because then the head of Mallare, nauseated by the vileness of the assault, would disgorge forever the hallucination of Rita. It was an emetic Mallare had found necessary to administer to himself. All my cleverness grows incredible. I am too supreme to grasp myself. There are still unexplored crevices in my infinity, and out of these continue to issue surprises that divert me. Goliath was undressed, his black body lumped, and like some mad caricature of itself, gleamed in the night. See, I said, note this bulbous little black man, for he is a caricature not of himself, but of you. He is a rival before whom your senses wince as before some unflattering image. Yes, the image of Mallare stands saluting his charming chimera with an interesting Ethiopian erection. For they differ in many externals. Mallare and Goliath are one. For though they differ in many externals, Mallare and Goliath are one. They are ornamented insulations for an identical current. And here, throbbing under an erection, is the current of Mallare and an infinity of Mallares. The penis of this dwarf is repellent because that which Mallare so fondly called his own, his desires, is revealed to him as grotesquely promiscuous. Yes, the penis is the democratic tabernacle of life. Under its little Moorish roof, the senses of the race kneel in common prayer. Observe it, Mallare. It is the rendezvous of expiring illusions, the gathering place of the anonymities which utilize man, beasts, and plants. See how this curious dwarf staggers like a bewildered stranger in its shadow. He is an outcast, he is useless, he is no longer necessary. Life, which has made a pretense of him, enters its tabernacle and closes the doors on him. Here is the great secret. Here stands the grim tyrant before whose delicious wrath man bows himself into annihilation. Ah, what a marvelous tabernacle! It moves and Goliath follows. It points and Goliath runs after it. An infatuated tabernacle that fancies itself going to heaven. It is proud. It struts. Goliath shuffles after it like a forlorn little nigger in the wake of a circus. It leaps, and Goliath gallops after it. Aha! He lies on his back, impaled. But she. They were on the couch. She sat beside him, but her eyes still sought me. Noises issued from Goliath. He rolled on his back, kicking crooked legs and yelping. I watched her white body spread over him. Her eyes left me and my rhetoric dwindled into a sigh. I was alone with a spectacle. Goliath masturbating with a phantom, but not as Mallare had done. No, not as Mallare, who had lain indifferent beside his Frankenstein. For Goliath's arms were around her, his legs intertwined her, his body an insanity in itself, made a mate beneath her more incredible than she. There was silence. Then she screamed. Yes, Mallare closed his eyes. A coldness tiptoed out of his heart. She was laughing. Her laughter entered his ears. But who was it who was it laughed? Mallare. Mallare laughed. It was his voice in the phantom that laughed at him. It was his hallucination. He had loved that now gave itself to a little monster. And it was his hate that designed this laugh. A thing that pierced the heaven in which he sat. Mallare closed his eyes, a god shuddering before his own atheism. Yes, rhetoric now, it is easy to write. My words embroider themselves.